Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this is going to be my Walking Dead Goat Simulator video. Seriously though, the biggest surprise this week was that we're not following up with Glenn. We're actually getting a deep dive into the craziest person ever, Morgan. Just careful for goat spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet, and new round of the giveaway starts now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. It's a $20 Amazon gift card. You can totally use it to buy food for Tabitha. May she rest in peace. So let's just get into it, starting with top 5 WTF. Number 5, this is a full-blown 90-minute Morgan episode. We start with him in present day talking to that wolf that we don't get the reveal till the end of the episode, but he's narrating his experience of how he became Jedi Morgan, all about Eastman, the person who taught him how to quote-unquote walk through the door. Which it turns out that the goat was smarter than him. I love that. The goat was able to do what Morgan was not, open the door. You had to tell me that I could open the door before I knew that it was open. So Tabitha 1, Morgan 0. And of course the goat, being smarter, ends up being the one that the show kills off. That's one of the worst things you could be on The Walking Dead, one of the smarter characters. Anytime there's a crutch for the group, like somewhere you can get cheese from on demand, there's no way the writers are going to let that last. But the actual intro was one of the best intros that The Walking Dead has had all year long. It's just that I feel like the episode didn't need to be 90 minutes. I would have been totally happy if they would have broken this story up into a couple different pieces, but part of me wonders if they sold Lenny James on coming back to the show because they were going to give him this episode. Like they knew they would do a special Morgan episode, so they're like, come, be a regular in Series 6. We'll give you this awesome 90-minute episode all by itself. And he actually said during Talking Dead that episode 4 was a complete secret from the rest of the cast. They shot up to episode like 5 or 6 and then went back and shot episode 4. I'm not really sure why they needed to keep it a secret though. I'm not sure what the reasoning is there because there weren't any spoilers in here. Like we just get Morgan's backstory. It's not like they're spoiling what ends up happening to the characters in the future. I think they maybe just wanted it to be something special, but I feel like most of us tonight were like screaming at the beginning of the episode when we realized that Glenn wasn't going to be in it. They weren't going to follow up with that. It's like everyone makes like their oh Jesus Glenn face, like oh my god, when they realize that he's not going to be in it. We're not going to get to see whether or not he made it under that dumpster. And yes, I have seen all of the Glenn spoilers. I know, there's something going on with that character. Maybe you've seen the spoilers, maybe you haven't. But the question has already been answered as to what's going on with him. Just in case you don't want to know, I'm not going to post him here. If you want to talk about him, just please use spoiler tags. But on to number 4, Morgan must clear. This is the greatest thing in the world. It's the greatest circular logic that he has in his head. This is when he's still in crazy mode. Which, by the way, is this really awesome camera effect. It's like this vignetting thing they created where the camera gets really fuzzy around the edges. It's like when Morgan goes into Terminator mode, so I'm hoping they bring it back at some point in the future. Like in some future episode, if he's forced to kill someone and it just goes over the edge, he goes back into this Terminator mode. But clear was a big theme in this episode. It's a reminder of the season 3 episode Clear, like the episode that was titled Clear, where Morgan's like literally stuck. His brain is stuck in that time, even though his body continues moving forward, like Eastman said. There's a door that you keep going to. It keeps taking you back to that place. So now you're not trying to go through the door anymore. So he's like frozen in that time during that season 3 moment. That's why when he was strangling this kid here, I kept thinking about that moment where he was trying to kill Rick, like he was reliving that in his mind. But you could also argue that because Morgan thought this was like a father-son pair, that he thought he was killing himself and his own son, Dwayne, like he was reliving that. But all I could think when Eastman was questioning him about the meaning of clear, like why do you have to clear? And he said, I clear because I'm still here, and I'm still here because I clear. So it's like this circular logic that he's stuck in. On to number 3, Morgan versus Eastman. So Eastman tells Morgan that he could have left at any time. The door is open. He slips back into Terminator mode and rushes the shit out of him. I love Eastman's reaction when he sees Morgan going for the fire pokers and just goes, shit. But the only point where Eastman actually gets pissed is when Morgan smashes his daughter's drawing. It's not till later in the episode that we learn the significance of that, how he literally walked like 30 miles for a piece of drywood. And he says as he's sitting there dying, it's the best decision I ever made. But they have it out like he slowly brings Morgan back to life, teaches him Aikido, becomes his Yoda. There's even like a swamp nearby, so you can make every Star Wars joke that you want to make. But it all breaks down the minute Morgan is forced to go back to his past. Like he's forced to go back through the door to relive that moment again in that campsite. Sometimes when The Walking Dead does visual metaphors, it's really obvious. Sometimes it's a little harder to see, but they kept talking about walking through the door, going back to quote unquote that moment. That's what that campsite was. That's what that represented. So he walked back, he was forced to see the child again. So it's almost like he was hallucinating Dwayne again, and it just all goes to shit. Eastman ends up getting bitten, and Morgan completely regresses, but then kind of quickly rebounds. On to number 2 though, Eastman explains the story about the serial killer that killed his family. He tells Morgan most of it, but then he stops short and doesn't finish till he's getting ready to die, and he tells Morgan, I brought him back here. I watched him starve to death. It took 47 days. In fact, I only learned about the apocalypse when I went back to Atlanta to turn myself in. This is probably one of the best character backstories that I've heard from someone that was not a main character. I mean, like, this Eastman person is just a one-off deal. You could argue that it's kind of contrived that Morgan, needing someone like Eastman, happens to run into Eastman, who is totally zen and has all the skills necessary to rehabilitate Morgan. I think what happened to Daryl Dixon is a little bit more realistic. Like, I mean, this is the apocalypse, terrible people survive. You would probably bump into the claimers instead of someone like Eastman. Like, even Morgan, as he hits the road again, after Eastman's like, everything you need is here, but you shouldn't stay here. He sees the terminus sign at the tracks and heads towards it. So naturally, like, he is heading towards something awful. That feels more authentic. But if there was any confusion, that was the moment we saw him at the very end of season 5, episode 1. Like, this episode went right up to that moment. But finally, onto my very obvious number 1 WTF moment. Morgan is secretly keeping this wolf locked up inside the safe zone. This is where the show gets really obvious, really literal with the conflict it's presenting us with. Morgan is being challenged with the idea that all life is sacred, but there's this wolf here that says that his code tells him that he has to kill everyone, even the children. You said it yourself, don't be sorry for anything. So very clearly either Morgan or someone else is going to have to kill him. Like, there's no way this is going to end well. He's going to get out, kill somebody else, Morgan's going to regret it, he'll still end up dying, and then Morgan will have this on his conscience. So here's my big question for you guys. 2 big possibilities. Either we're going to get to watch the fall of Jedi Morgan as he goes to the dark side and starts killing again, or this wolf is going to kill a bunch of people and then someone else is going to kill him. Which do you think is going to happen? I think it'd be a lot more thrilling to see Morgan go to the dark side, but I think something will be able to save him. I think they want Morgan's story to be a hopeful one, even though Walking Dead is this super bloody drama. Like, you're made to feel bad about yourself, but every once in a while you get these moments of hope. I think that Morgan is meant to be a moment of hope amongst the very crazy rest of the cast, especially given what happened to Glenn last week. So just a reminder about where we are on the timeline. We're still right at the end of that moment where Rick is trapped in the RV, Glenn is stuck inside that pile of walkers, and then Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl are trying to lead the super PAC away. So I think next week we'll pick right back up where that left off. Congratulations to Claire Slate, you're the winner of last week's Walking Dead giveaway. It's a $20 Amazon gift card. Just private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact info. And thank you for nominating me to go on Talking Dead, even though I think that would be a total disaster for everyone involved. It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun, and Chris Hardwick and I both work for Legendary, so we'll see, maybe someday. And if you didn't see it, they dropped the trailer for Preacher. If you don't know what that is, it's a supernatural comic book series, kind of in the vein of Hellblazer, but that's going to be premiering soon. I don't know if I'll have time to do videos for it, but I'll at least do a trailer video for it, because Dominic Cooper's awesome, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So while you guys wait for all that stuff to post, you can click here for the Arrow Constantine trailer I just posted, and you can click here for my Glenn video from last week, just to relive the horror again. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.